Hello, this is George Romero. You're listening to East Coast Horror Group.
East Coast Horror Group.
They're here.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Salutations and mutilations! You're listening!
Coast Horror Group presents Dead Art Movie Reviews.
I am Rusty. There we go. Tonight, it's East Coast Horror Group presents Dead On Movie Reviews. Tonight, we're going to be presenting horror movie reviews and lively debate here on EastCoastHorrorGroup.com and on future select Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You can join our live chat at that time by clicking on live shows on the EastCoastHorrorGroup.com website. So pleased that you all could join us tonight. And tonight, I'm your host, Tim Kretschmann, and we're coming to you from the East Coast of Lake Michigan, and it's my honor to introduce the Faculty of Fear panel presenting tonight's lectures. We'll start with our good friend, Lizzie Mears. She is the actress in Family Possessions, which just opened at Walmart, Amazon Prime, all over the place. You can find it everywhere. Dollface, and she wrote and directed the movie 106 White Lake, which was also in the Women in Horror Film Festival. Hello, Lizzie!
Hello.
So good to have you on tonight's show, and you have an interesting movie choice we're all looking forward to. Next, in the Faculty of Fear, he ain't great, but he's full of fate. It's little baby Drew Face, Poos Seidler. Hey, Drew.
Hey, what's up, man? That's a horrible name still. I don't know why it stays, but it stays for some reason.
Well, because the ginger thing is played out. It really is.
Plus you said I was full of fate, I think.
No, full of
I have no
hate.
idea what that-
Full of hate. You're full of
Well, that is
hate,
true.
Drew. Yes.
That is true.
I think it really is. And last but not least, it's the man they call the face of Jace, a sincere zombie apologist. He's the man of two voices. He's Coach Michael Exler, the Dean of Students. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, it is.
I've been on the show for years.
It is your show. So, Mike, of course, is the founder of East Coast Horror Group. And so let's get things ready. Let's keep your ass in your seat, sharpen your pencil. It's time to get unruly with the Faculty of Fear. And we're going to start with our guest panelist because, well, let's face it, she's the cutest. So we're going to start things off by going to Lizzie. Lizzie, what is the movie that you saw for tonight's show?
Bunnyman Vengeance.
Bunnyman. Now, this sounds very cute. Are you sure this is a horror movie?
Yes, it definitely is. It definitely is a horror movie. I didn't realize, and maybe this is really dumb, when I first decided to watch it, that it was the third in the series of films about Bunnyman.
Okay.
So, which Vengeance would normally give it away, but I just kind of like picked it at random, and I was like, oh, that would be kind of a cool movie. Let me check it out. So I wanted to do something that I went in totally blind on and had no, concept of what it was going to be like, because I wanted to just have a completely like my own thoughts about it.
Okay.
Sometimes when people like kind of give you their opinion, even if they don't give anything away, it's sort of like you go in and you've already got something to think about. So
Right.
I went in completely blind to this, and I was surprised and shocked, and I definitely feel like there was a major level of originality to this film.
Okay.
Which I liked. It was very gory, but it started off with a little bit of like found footage type film.
Okay.
With someone being set on fire, and then he gets peed on for the fire to be put out.
Okay.
And
Oh,
you
that was
quickly
nice.
learn. Yep, that becomes Bunnyman. And I
Wait,
guess that was.
what?
Wait, hold on. Let's go back.
How you make a bunny man?
That's how you make a Bunnyman.
Correct.
No, like that's why he wears. This is what I took from it because there's a lot that's explained, I believe, in the first two, but I really didn't realize that this is the third in the series until like halfway through, and I was like, oh, I really think I should have watched the first one or the second one before this. But they do a good job, I will say, of kind of like cutting back and showing things from the previous movies, so you can piece it together.
Okay.
Just
Now, I had pictured, Drew, are you like me? Are you picturing that the way that you become Bunnyman is that you're bitten by a radioactive rabbit?
the way she explained it, it sounds like you just have to have somebody light you on fire and then pee on you, and then you
get
become half man, half rabbit, apparently. Like a centaur, except a rabbit, right?
Well, you can't be happy about that.
Oh God, no!
I've been waiting.
That's what I took from it. That is how he ends up like wanting to wear the suit and cover up, and he has all this anger because he's a burn victim. But what was weird to me, then there were scenes where they're all like him and his like cohorts in murder are sitting around eating, but he just puts the food up to the bunny head, and it's not like actually like eating, you know. So I was like, maybe I'm wrong. So that was a little confusing.
Well, he could be crazy. That's another idea. Could
Yeah,
be
he
crazy.
did. But so there were some confusing things, and I think there was a little bit of like gratuitous nudity with some girls camping in the woods and stuff. But
Hold on. Let's talk about that some more.
yep, he stalks and ends up killing like a group of co-eds out in the woods, and they're half
What?
naked.
In a horror movie?
That's a little
That's part of the college experience.
What college do these kids go to?
I went to the wrong one.
right.
I know, me too, right?
Right. There's a stereotypical horror theme to it, so you get everything that you're usually looking for in a horror film. And then I will also I'm gonna give points for some amazing camera work. I really thought there were some incredible shots. They did great with like subtle imagery and things like that. I don't know, just like some really cool shots. There's one in particular that stood out to me, where one of the characters sits down, and then there's like a statue behind him, and the wings of the statue are like coming out of the guy after he sits down. It's just some cool little subtle things like that I think kind of give you some cool imagery and ideas about what's going to happen next. And then there were some very unique kills.
Very unique kills. Okay.
Yeah, and that is really fun for me, like to see, like, because I think a lot of times in movies, you kind of see the same thing a lot, and knife to the throat, whatever it is. But I'll just give you two really cool ones. So one of them, I have to remember. Okay, so a girl is tied down, and he like asks her, do you want the poison or do you want the spider? And he like unleashes this like giant tarantula, and he crawls into the girl's mouth.
Oh, no!
Yeah, it was really gross. And it was very impressive. And so then the spider's in there, and then she starts like going on, like freaking out because it's inside. And then he shoots the spider out of the girl, and then the spider like scurries away.
Wait. How do you shoot a spider out of a girl?
That's the other thing about this movie, is that it's like has parts where you're like, this is supposed to be a crazy man that's just in a bunny suit, and then there's parts where you're like, is this like fantasy, like this is a bunny man. Like, I wasn't sure. On some parts, I was kind of confused there. I don't think. And another cool kill, and a very, very impressive, I assume expensive, special effect that this girl, he like pours this girl like some kind of poison down her throat, and then her stomach just like a giant hole just appear, like it just like burns a hole in her stomach, and all her guts start falling out all over the floor, and it was very unique, and those were very impressive kills and very impressive special effects to me.
Wow.
It looked pretty real.
Now, was there a decent sized budget on this? Was this an El Cheapo? What?
I'm picturing they're filming it on an iPhone, as you explained a film named Bunnyman Vengeance.
Right.
No, it honestly, that's the other thing. I didn't feel that it was that consistent, but I did some research after watching this because I was kind of like, man, they've made 3 of these. There must be a fan base for it.
Right.
Yeah, obviously,
I don't know.
So I guess I'm not sure, but I read that like On Demand on DirecTV or whatever, I guess, bought the film, and then like that's how they were able to make another, and then they bought that one. That's how they were able to make the third.
Huh. Good.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting. So I was like, it must have a pretty good fan base. I will say a lot of the reviews I read weren't great, but
No. I've looked at some reviews.
They all talked about the cinematography and how incredible that is, and that is very true. It was really good, really professional.
Interesting.
I think some of the acting was lacking. But that was my main problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was original. I'll give it that for sure.
Now, would it fall into the slasher type of genre or more of a monster movie?
I think slasher. I think.
Okay, that's what I'm kind of getting the feel of. That this is
The
just.
person was human at one time, right? He just got peed on, and then he turned into a rabbit.
What do you mean just got peed on?
That's what
That seems pretty traumatic there, Drew. Does that happen to you a lot?
Fire. At least they put him out. For fuck's sake. They don't let him burn to death.
That's what wasn't really that clear to me, because I really struggled with trying to figure out, and I think it's because maybe it's all explained in the first and the second. So I will say
Oh God. I hope they don't spend that much time on getting peed on in the first 2 movies. That sounds awful.
I'm not sure, but it was confusing to figure out. I think it was the guy that got peed on. It was like kind of his abuser set him on fire to kind of like trap him into this life, and then now he wears the bunny suit to cover his burns, and he's got like Stockholm syndrome with his abusers that also are his partners in murder.
So there's actually a message to the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a message. You know what I'm thinking, Drew? You know who should talk about this?
It might be clear if you were to watch the whole trilogy.
You haven't watched it all yet?
I haven't watched the first or the second. I watched the third, and I've got enough to say here about this one movie.
All right, well, it sounds like it's about time to get our grade for this. First, I have to find the right button. Hold on. I got a lot of stuff going on here. Okay.
All right, you ready?
I am so ready.
I give it a B for Bunnyman.
A B for Bunnyman. It's even a cute grade. Isn't that nice? So a B for Bunnyman. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Lizzie. Let's go to the Lizzie cam. Hold on. I promised everybody this. There we go. There's Lizzie with the Lizzie cam. And thank you so much. And it is time now to find out what Drew...
I hate it more than anything.
I'm sorry. Hit the wrong one. Yeah. This is the one.
I
There
like
we go.
magical dongs.
That's more like it. It's time now for Drew. Drew, what have you seen for tonight's show?
I watched a movie called Trollhunter from the year 2010. AD.
Thank you, because we thought it was one of those movies from BC.
Right. I just want to make it clear to everyone.
I'm glad that you're on that, Drew.
It is British Columbia. Damn it! Why did I let that get in my head of all the things? Anyway, and Mike says one thing the entire show, and I'm completely distracted. Fucking segment.
You just come in with the fire.
Hello, dragons. Oh shit. Okay, so Trollhunter 2010. It's been out there for a while, obviously. A Norwegian film.
7 years, by the way, in case you were having trouble.
Well, it's 2018, just so you know.
Yeah,
that.
but it came out in August.
This one says October, but whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, I heard good things about it. It always had like 4.5, 5 stars whenever Netflix actually had a rating system. Before they were just like thumbs up, maybe you'll like it 67%, maybe you won't.
Yeah.
But that's another tangent to go off on. I just never got around to watch it. I just thought I didn't really want to read a movie, to be honest with you, so that's probably why I put off watching it for so long. And the movie does have subtitles, so if you have an aversion to reading the film, just beware of that.
We should probably check, Drew. Who on the panel has seen this? Because I know I've seen Trollhunter. Lizzie?
No, I haven't.
What about you, Mike?
Nope.
Oh, really? I'm the only... This is surprising, because I thought this was like a big thing when it first came out.
I've never heard of it until now.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Drew. I'll let you do it.
I'm very curious to hear about it.
Mike, I'm glad that I've caught your interest.
Yep.
So it's a Norwegian film that starts out as a project for some university students where they're trying to catch bear poachers. There's a hunting season, obviously, for bear in Norway to control the bear population, and then some strange hunting or findings, I guess, of bear corpses start turning up. Basically, they're filleted and stretched open in the trees. So, as they gain more and more information about this group of hunters, one, it kind of doesn't fit in with the rest of them, so they start to follow him. Find out one night after following him that he is not a bear poacher, and that trolls are real, and the government employs him to contain them all. So, from there, it turns into a found footage film about following this guy who hunts trolls for a living. And for a fucking troll, I don't know exactly what you think of when you think of a troll, if you think of the little tiny people from the 80s film or what you think of exactly. But the way they're portrayed is both kind of like funny but also horrifying at the same time. Like the first one has 3 heads.
Yep.
And it's very just kind of ogre, kind of like a big dumb animal. And that's really what they are and how they treat them.
Lizzie or Mike, because you haven't seen the movie, do you know how to kill a troll? They're kind of like vampires. They got a very specific way of killing them.
Something from Harry Potter is coming to mind, but I can't think of what it is.
Do you know, Mike?
Well, funny you mentioned a Troll 2 from the 80s. The trolls would take people over by having you eat this green stuff, but if you pee on the green stuff, not lying, to go back to the pee, if you pee on it, then it takes away all the power.
Oh man, I don't want the theme of the show to be urine. This is gonna be awesome.
Oh, I think it is already. I don't think you have anything to say about it. It's that they stay out in the daylight, right? The daylight, and they turn to stone.
Bright light, UV rays. That's how you kill a troll.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, actually, I just saw at the movie house, they're playing Dark Crystal.
I hate that you say the movie house.
Why? Why? Because it's accurate?
No.
Yeah, you hate it when I'm accurate. Okay. In any event, I saw Dark Crystal. Dark Crystal, I forget the guy's name, but the production designer for that in the 80s made a book called Troll. And these trolls look a lot like the trolls from that book, which was one of these coffee table books. and somehow it sold like millions of copies. So a lot of people kind of have this vision of trolls, and they vary in size in the movie, right?
Yes. So I mean, think of it like if you've ever watched, and Mike, I know you have watched the Finding Bigfoot guys and stuff like that. It's very much just that, except in real life. It's just this kind of eccentric guy who literally has killed trolls for the past 30 years for the Swedish or Norwegian government. This is some big conspiracy that he kind of goes on and just tells the story because he wants to retire. And all the different different kinds of trolls. There's northern mountain trolls. There's swamp trolls. All that you can find them in any different habitat. But they keep them. Yeah, exactly. But they keep them contained by what to a layman, to you and I, would look like power lines, but it's actually a huge electric fence. And
now, are these animated or are these CGI? Like, what are these?
They're definitely. It's probably, I would say, a mixture of practical and CGI, but mostly CGI.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look hokey. Like, it doesn't look like it's just green screened or anything like that.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm actually showing frames from the film on the video feed, and I thought they did a good job with the special effects, but I think blending it with it being found footage, it makes it seem more real than just the effects the way they are.
Just the way you are.
Okay, Ben looked it up in the chat room. The name of the guy I was thinking of is Brian Froud. Brian Froud. He's the one that...
What I said.
The book. Did you? I'm sorry.
I didn't say shit.
Okay, I was like, really? I would have been impressed. I would have been very impressed. That's a hell of a pull. But, yeah, so I have a question for you, Drew. Is this a horror movie or is this a horror comedy?
I'd say it's a creature feature, right?
I agree. A lot of people were telling me this is a comedy, and I'm like,
there wasn't really anything funny in it.
No.
I mean, just that they're making fun of these people who believe in trolls until they see a troll. They're like, trolls are, are leprechauns and fairies going to be true next, But
right, but like you say, a creature feature, because you see Creature of the Black Lagoon or stuff like that. It's got a certain amount of camp because it is a monster. The only time I think I've seen monsters that really didn't do any camp is stuff like Alien and The Thing, and that's why those are really unusual. Most monster movies have a certain amount of camp and a certain amount of inherent comedy to them. Any of the Sci-Fi Channel monster, sharks and mega octopus and all that stuff, there's a certain amount of comedy just because the concept is so weird, But I agree. I think it's a creature feature is the right way to go with this. But I think it's a really fun movie.
Yeah, it's definitely. It almost gives me a feel like a nature documentary almost at some points. Once you realize that these are real. Yeah. And he just kind of keeps telling you about them. Hey, I remember this time I caught this one this way, and there's a whole government cover up and layers and stuff that kind of you get to unravel as the film progresses. It comes to a good conclusion, I think. I don't think they left any loose ends. There weren't really many ends to tie, to be honest. You just started to watch it because it was fucking cool. I wouldn't say it was scary at all, but definitely worth a watch and entertaining.
Are these trolls dangerous? Is that why they're being killed?
Yeah, they had rabies. One gave it rabies, so they started to go outside of where they usually would habitate. Habitate? That's not a fucking word at all.
Nope.
That's okay.
Where they would live?
The land that they would usually inhabit. And yes, there had been more cases than usual of trolls coming out of that territory and wreaking havoc among regular communities, and them having to explain it away by being bears and stuff. But yeah, it was interesting.
It's worth the viewing, I think. I think this is a movie that's worth it. But I think it's time now, Drew, for your grade on Trollhunter. So, Drew, what is your grade?
I mean, usually a film that I can't. I have to read. A lot of times the acting doesn't come across.
Right.
I think because it's found footage that it didn't really matter, and didn't really hurt the film really that much at all. It's an A. I mean, it was fun the entire time I watched it.
A flat A?
Yeah.
All right. That's an A for Trollhunter. And I believe there's a animated TV series on Netflix as well called Trollhunters, and I don't know if they're related or not.
I don't believe that they are because I'm pretty sure they speak English in that country.
Well, that would make sense because that is the greatest language on the face of the planet. Just so you know. All right, Mike, it is your turn. It's your turn, Mike. Mike, what have you been watching?
I watched 2018's Day of the Dead Bloodline.
Now, wait, why did you have that reaction there, Drew?
Just because, I mean, this is a movie that I think is close to both of us, stuff that we've been involved with, and people that we've met, being from the Pittsburgh area. So, it's
you love Day of the Dead Bloodline?
It's gonna do the regular Day of the Dead.
Oh, okay.
So, to put that name on it, I know it's gonna be hard to live up to any kind of standards, but I know this is probably gonna be really bad, and I'm interested.
Now, what makes you say that? Because Mike is always very positive about the films that he reviews on this show. He picks only the best so that he can give rave reviews. We all know that.
I think that he had just been beaten down for a long time. So he actually reviewed a couple of good movies, so I think he's ready to get back into hateful mode. We'll see.
Okay.
I loved it.
Yeah, Day of the Dead Bloodline is a, I guess, loose remake of what I consider to be Romero's finest film, Day of the Dead. I also consider it to be one of the best horror films, not just in the zombie genre.
Okay.
So I want to first start out with saying that this did have a budget of around $8 million.
Wow.
So this did not look like it was filmed with a phone. It looked nice. It was well lit.
These are important things.
It is. It runs 90 minutes, so it didn't need cut anywhere. They didn't go too long with it.
That's good.
The gore, the zombies, they all looked decent. They were done by competent people. Not a ton of CGI, which I liked. Okay, that's it for the positive stuff. Let's get to the heart of the matter. It basically starts off with this nurse who takes blood from people all day, and this guy comes in named Max, who is completely obsessed with her. And I was wondering where this was going with anything, because it just didn't seem to make much sense, because the zombie apocalypse hadn't happened yet. Now, if you're remaking Day of the Dead, then you would know that Day of the Dead is towards the end of the apocalypse, where everybody
is pretty well done.
Everybody's dead pretty much.
Yeah.
So this guy Max,
and loving it.
This guy Max is pretty crazy. He carves this girl Zoe, her name, into his arm.
Didn't that happen with there was a movie with Marky Mark and Alicia Silverstone?
Yeah.
What?
Was that Crush or something?
I forget what the fuck it was called. Lizzie, did you ever see that? Do you remember that movie?
No.
I think she's pleading ignorance on this because it's such a goofy thing that you're talking about.
I do remember that film, Drew.
Yeah, it's a real movie.
No, it's
It's like Teenage Cape Fear.
Teenage Cape Fear. Oh my god.
Okay, so we established that there's Zoe and there's Max.
It's named Fear. It just came through. Fear.
We fast forward to the zombie apocalypse has happened now. Fast forward, they don't really give you a reason why. They pretty much should have just held up like a cardboard sign and said, "Enter zombie apocalypse here." So that happened. So we fast forward to.
That is how Cannibal Killer Clowns on Dope would have done it.
They not only didn't give it a cause, which I don't mind, that's fine. They didn't even show you any of it. Like, they didn't show you like the first infected, and then.
I figured since she worked in a hospital, that would be why she worked in a hospital.
No, not really. No. The reason that she works in a hospital comes later. So she's on the run, basically trying to get away from the zombie apocalypse. She runs into this military personnel that is living with these other survivalists in an underground bunker. So as we remember from the original, they were in the mine.
Right.
So they had the fence set up. They had a helicopter that had crashed that was, quote unquote, supposed to be an homage to Dawn of the Dead. I don't know why you're paying homage to another film and a remake of another film, but whatever. So you get to know these people, and it's not like they tried to completely copy the original characters.
Okay.
Like Zoe, I guess, could be Sarah, but it's a little bit of a stretch. There's no Dr. Frankenstein. There's a guy named Miguel, there was a Miguel in the original, but he's supposed to be like the Rhodes type character, and he fails miserably at it. It's laughable most of the time. So the point that they're trying to do is Zoe gets hooked up with this military group, and she decides that she's going to find a cure because she's a hematologist. She went from a nurse that just was told to go take blood from people to now she's a full-blown hematologist, and I don't know how that happened.
Obviously, the universities are still, they're off limits to zombies. Zombies don't go to school.
I guess she went online.
Oh man, University of Phoenix.
That's right. So Max, I think Tim had a picture of him up there on the viewer thing.
Yeah.
He is your bub.
So he's the Joker-looking dude.
I was going to say that.
He is the Joker-looking zombie, if you will.
Okay.
So he's Bub, and they've taken it to a different level. Bub had some understanding of simple commands and was.
Right, he was teaching him, right?
Max can just straight up talk.
Oh.
Yeah, he's.
Does he tell jokes?
No. I mean,
so he isn't Freddy Krueger.
No, he talks very guttural and just like sort of like very short sentences, but he does in fact talk, and he is there for Zoe.
Does he say things like "Why so serious"?
Still loves Zoe.
Oh, so I get it now. The Max that was obsessed with her is the same zombie Max that we're talking about right now.
Yep. Okay. And guess who has the key to curing the zombies?
Zoe.
Zoe figures out that Max's blood is
not his piss.
Is the cure to.
Are you sure it's not the urine?
Please, just make it the urine. Come on.
Make it the urine. Come on.
Because I guess the writers didn't think that, okay, Max is a zombie, therefore all the blood that he has in him would be coagulated. So when there's a scene where they finally put Max down and try to extract all the blood out of him that they can, that actual blood came out instead of coagulated blood. So again, just a minor discrepancy in how you would, think a zombie would be. A few things that I wanted to mention.
Well, you gotta be... Now wait, Mike. You do have to be creative if you're gonna do a zombie movie, because, Jesus Christ, there's 10 million of them. You gotta do something a little bit different, right?
Well, if you're gonna do something different, make it good.
Well, okay.
Are we trying to debate zombie science right now?
We are. There's a show. There's a show. But tonight, now, guys, remember, tonight is Lizzie's night, so we're going to talk about urine tonight. Because that's what she wanted.
I don't know if she wants urine associated with her.
I think she's pretty proud of it right about now. Let's take a look. Yeah, there's the Lizzie cam. She seems pretty proud of it.
Okay. You just raising the roof for urine?
Yay, pee.
There's a sound.
Okay, so the blood. Okay, so what's next, Mike? They find the blood is the cure.
Blood from Max.
So they get the blood from Max, and spoiler alert because
hold on. I got something for that. Hold on. There we go. Spoiler alert.
I don't want anybody on the panel to watch this because I like you guys. Well, I like Drew like 33.98% of the time, but I don't want you guys to watch this film because no one should have to watch this film.
Calculated.
It is. I've
That
calculated
seems like
it
you've
out.
done the math on that.
I have.
He's actually got a gauge, and it's Bluetooth enabled, so he can check it at any time because it does fluctuate.
Has to do with algorithms and such.
And a lot of swiping
Now I
left.
believe you more. You convinced me. Yeah.
They find that the blood will not cure someone that is already a zombie, but if you inject yourself with this thing that she created from his blood, this serum
Vaccine.
If you get bit, you won't become a zombie. So
Still gonna hurt like hell, though, right?
It will hurt. Yes, it's not a pain-reducing agent. But it is.
It makes you impenetrable to zombie tea.
If you want that, that's what the urine's for. The urine is for the pain.
Wedge that one in. That didn't fit.
And that you have to take orally, I'm afraid.
Ew. So
That's nothing. The other stuff's a suppository. There you
the
go.
story sort of ends with them all injecting themselves with this serum so they can't turn into zombies, blah blah blah. There was one scene in particular that I wanted to mention. In the original, the character Miguel completely goes insane and he realizes that they're all dead anyway, so he's just going to expedite that by bringing hordes of zombies down into the mine. And how he does that is he opens the fence, lures them onto this huge platform, and as they devour him, he presses the button to lower the platform down, and there's the famous scene of the platform lowering down and all the zombies are on it, and then all of a sudden they just spill out into the mine and proceed to, cause destruction and try to kill everybody in that.
That's what they do.
So they set up a scene very similar to that in this film, and someone sort of wanted revenge, so they wanted the zombies in to the underground warehouse. It wasn't even underground. It was just a warehouse, but I don't know why they said it was underground. Basically what the person did was he opened the door and the zombies walked through the door. So that was the big climactic ending.
Ooh.
So the Romero version versus whoever did this pile of shit, it was very different in styles. They had a different vision.
Okay, well, it sounds like you're leading me into it. So it is time for your grading of the movie Day of the Dead, Bloodline. Mike, what is your grade? I'm guessing it's a high A.
No, it's a complete F, complete failure.
Wow!
Missed the complete tone of the original, and I understand you want to try to make it something different while paying homage, and they did a piss poor job of that. And just failure all around.
You are just absolutely mean.
So basically, they could have taken that $8 million and burned it in a field. And we all would have been better for it.
Wow. Well, that's a shame, because I'm sure those people worked very hard on the movie, and then it turns out it sucked. That's too bad.
No, I blame them too.
It's a money grab. When you name it Day of the Dead, you damn well better be bringing it, right? If you're going to do that, you better bring it. Otherwise, it's just a ripoff.
Just using the name.
Yeah. Well, I have a movie that is just out. It's still in the movie house at a couple places, which is what we call them, Drew.
Not what anybody calls it, except for you.
Yeah, let's all go to the movie house. Okay.
No one's ever said it.
Everybody says, let's go to the movie house. That's how it's said. So, I went to see Winchester. And Winchester is playing...
Why don't you pronounce it right, you fucking idiot?
What? I don't know what you're talking about. You're hurting my feelings, though. Winchester has Helen Mirren and Jason Clarke in it. Helen Mirren, I don't think I need to explain who she is. Jason Clarke is the guy that was in the second Planet of the Apes movie. If you see him, and I did put his picture on the video, you know who he is.
Charlton Heston?
No. I'm talking the new Planet of the Apes, but thank you for playing. He was in another movie that was a big movie. I can't recall.
Patrick.
No.
What?
Okay.
Leave NPH out of this.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, Winchester is about...
Stop it.
What? What are you
on
talking
purpose, you asshole.
I'm doing what on purpose? I'm pronouncing it in the
Winchester,
original
like
German.
You can't pronounce a fucking W.
So, I saw Winchester the other day,
Asshole.
and it is about the heiress to the Winchester fortune.
I have to
She owns 50%. She owns 50% of, or like 51% of the ammunition and gun manufacturer Winchester at about the turn of the century. So this is like just after the Wild West. Repeating rifles are already a thing, but still gas lighting and not, electrical lighting yet. So that's the time frame. And if you know anything about this lady, you'll know that the home that she lived in for her older years, she continued to build rooms on this mansion. This mansion, she bought it. It was like a 6 or 8 room mansion, or just regular house, and she kept building on it. By the end, it had over 100 rooms. So that tells you about it. It's one of the most famous, quote, haunted houses.
92 extra.
Was it? Yeah. And they kind of, like in a throwaway line, say, well, she keeps building these to house all the ghosts. Because her thought was that everybody killed by a Winchester weapon, that they would show up at her house and say, hey, I need a place to move in. So she would just keep building on this thing. And she thought that the moment that they stopped construction, that they would get her or she would die. And the story is that when she did eventually die, it was right after she stopped construction for whatever reason. So, and who knows if that's just a story or whatever. So, listening to that, you're like, that's a good idea for a movie, right? It is. Unfortunately, that isn't the movie they made. They made a standard ghost movie. They have this absolutely fantastic setting, right? This incredible house. This is a house where stairways go to nowhere. There's all sorts of weird rooms that you open up the door and you could fall, 2 stories. All this crazy stuff, right? Because it's just being built. They're just building stuff onto it. So you're thinking
for the zoning commission,
right? But that's your story, right? Your story is this crazy situation. They decide to do the most paint by numbers. You've seen it a million times. Ghost story. They do it. They have Helen frickin' Mirren. So you're thinking, okay, they're gonna have like some real character development for her to do. I swear to God, this was totally a paycheck for her. The only actor that phones it in like she did in here is Bruce Willis in the last Die Hard film. I mean, just totally like, she came in and she's like, where's craft services? And could you get my check over to me? Because I'm only here for an hour or two today. I have some traveling to do. You know, it was like amazing. I don't think she is, but she must be. Though, okay, but Michael Caine made Jaws 4, and his famous line about Jaws 4 is he says, I've never seen the movie, but I sure loved the house that it built for me. You know, she got a paycheck on this, I'm sure. The problem is the material isn't worthy of any of the actors in here. Jason Clarke's a good actor as well. This is totally beneath him. It's just the usual, let's do a jump scare, let's make something kind of scary move in the background while you're looking in a mirror. You had some Waldo vision going on. There are 100 rooms in this house. The entire story takes place in 3 rooms. That's right. Not 1, not 2, a whole 3. I'm like, are you kidding me? There should have been. I mean, somebody gives you this concept. The first thing you think of, at some point in the movie, your protagonist has to be chased through the house, right? Because it's a house that you can't get out of. You open a door, oh my God, it's a brick wall. You try going up some stairwell, oh my God, you can't go up the stairwell. You open another door, you could fall 500 feet. You know, it's like, it's made for a chase sequence. Never happens. Does not happen in the movie. I know. Spoiler. Sue me. I'm like, they had a great idea, great concept. This should have been a great movie, and it just misses the mark. It's kind of miserable experience seeing Winchester out there in the theaters. I have to admit, there were about 2-3 times where I had to use my ninja skills just to stay awake during this thing, because I was starting to doze a little bit. Now, there was a group of teenagers behind me, so you know I automatically hate that. They were making lots of noise. They were back there. I know that they brought in at least some liquor, but probably they were vaping or something as well. And they were having a very good time back there. They must not have been watching the screen, because anytime there was a scare, I'm thinking, you know, and there were young girls and young men. You know, when there's a scary scene, young girls like to make some sort of noise just to prove that they're there, you know, and nothing.
Is that true?
No reaction. Let's go to Lizzie Cam.
Yeah.
Lizzie, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 100% right on this. And it's an invitation, by the way. Gentlemen, if you take your young woman to the movies, ridiculous. The whole reason you take her to a horror movie is so that she'll scream and grab hold of your hand or something. That's the only reason for taking them. That's why it was making so much money, because there was lots of snuggling going on in those back rows. And I know because I brought a camera. And anyway, but this, honest to freaking God, every time there was a scare up on the screen, the whole audience did a collective yawn. It was unbelievable. I haven't been to, and I've been to some bad horror movies in the theater, or I'm sorry, in the movie house, and I have not seen a movie thud this bad in a very, very long time. It's been a long time since I've seen one just not work. I've seen bad horror movies where at least the jump scares work. This thing, there's a jump scare and everybody's like, who's got the popcorn? You know, they're looking for where the popcorn is. They don't care what was going on the screen. I think everybody gave it the first 30 minutes. I think the first 30 minutes we were all somewhat engaged, because at that point they're still kind of telling the story of the house and that sort of thing. And then they decide to start going down Story Island. And once they start going into the story itself, it lost everything. While it was describing the setting and setting things up, it was watchable. It became unwatchable. And what's sad about this movie, it wasn't bad enough that it turned the corner and started being good where you can make fun of it and stuff. It was just mediocre, horribly mediocre, which, as you know, is worse than even a really bad movie, with the possible exception of the movie you guys keep trying to talk me into, the Cannibal Killer Clowns on Dope, because I will not see that film, and that's just how it is. Anyway, that's the bottom line.
Were the ghosts CGI or just like guys in sheets running around?
It was mostly makeup and opticals, I think. There was probably some CGI, but predominantly, I would love to know the actual amount of money that was spent on this movie. I have a feeling that Helen Mirren was at least half the budget, if not more. Jason Clarke, I'm sure, didn't come all that cheap. Beyond that, they did not spend a whole lot of cash on special effects. The special effects were pretty standard fare. It wasn't real amazing stuff. And I know, Mike, you like ghost movies, and I think even you would be bored of this thing. It was the same stuff you always expect. And, how do you vanquish a ghost? How do you vanquish a ghost? You find out why he's still around, right? Why he's upset. And then you solve that problem, and away goes your ghost. Same shit.
So it's a proton pack and a
well,
trap.
yeah, the proton pack is the other approved method. So
And Tim,
yeah,
don't cross the streams.
that's right. Particularly if your particular proton pack was made by the Winchester group. All right, so this movie. Here's the. I might have upset poor little baby Drew face Poos Seidler today.
Why?
Peace. All right, so what did I give this movie? I'm gonna give it. I can't give it a full-on F because the production value was good. The basic concept of the setting was good, but everything else just was pathetic. I have to give it a D. A D, a maniac. Yeah, so sad. It could have been a contender, but it decided to suck instead. So that's
It happens.
That's it. I really had high hopes for it, but it didn't perform on any level. It was kind of sad. Okay, well, we are at that time. It is time to do our shameless promotions as we close up the show. So let's go over to Lizzie. What all is going on over there in Lizzie Land?
Well, I am gonna be going to the Crimson Screen Horror Film Festival coming up. I have a film as part of a feature film. It's a string of short films, and it's going to be called Blush. String of short films making a feature, and hopefully we get into that film festival. If not, I'm still going to go and support all the indie films that'll be shown, and I'm really excited. And if you're in the Charleston area or if you're nearby, you should come.
I was just about to ask where it is. So in Charleston.
Yep.
Okay. And is there a website that people should check?
Yes. I just think it's Crimson Screen Film Fest, or it's on Facebook, I believe, Crimson Screen Horror Film Fest, and it's in May. It's coming up in May.
Okay. And we should also point out that if you want to follow Lizzie, you can check out, let's see if the button works. The button, there it goes. You can check out Lizzie at her IMDb page. Come on, there it loads. Okay, so there's the IMDb page, and you can follow her. For some reason, she calls herself Elizabeth on here.
Yeah.
Though we all call her Lizzie, so I don't know what that's all about.
Yeah.
But you can check it out. It's got one of those strange bunch of numbers type of link. So we'll have the link in the show notes, or you can search on Elizabeth Mears. And be careful which Mears you're clicking on, because that Derek guy doesn't look nearly as cute. So that's just the thing. All right. Mike, you want to tell us about the website?
Yeah, the website, go check it out. We are slowly putting out panels from Days of the Dead Atlanta. We have the Karate Kid panel up, and we have the first ever Jason Takes Manhattan panel up. We just put out last week's from Dust Till Dawn Radio. Adam has some great written content with his reviews from The Crypt, as well as his comics, This Week in Comics. So go check that out, eastcoasthorrorgroup.com.
We should point out, too, that Ralph Macchio was part of that Karate Kid one that you did, because we've done one earlier with Billy Zabka and Martin Cove. This time we had Ralph Macchio, and there was a lot of new content in this show. So if you think you've seen the Karate Kid panel, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Pat Morita wasn't there.
No, because that would have been a ghost movie in itself. All right, and a little baby Drew face Poos Seidler. What is coming up on Thursday, my man?
Thursday. So we're gonna have another From Dust Till Dawn Radio episode, of course, for all of you wonderful people. Also, brand new time. So you're gonna want to set your alarms for 9 p.m. Eastern now, rather than 10 p.m. We're gonna come at you. That sounds too aggressive, but we're going to be on at 9 p.m. going forward. Please don't forget, guys. Check it out on.
And I'm going to make sure they actually stop at an hour. My concern with going earlier, I was afraid they're going to go long, but I'm just going to turn them off if they go longer than the hour. That's my personal.
Just like every girl that you've met. Sorry.
Oh, that hurt. That really hurt.
I said that thinking like I was talking about Drew, and then I was really talking about Tim, and then I felt bad.
There it is. Finally. Oh well. Okay, so now that I'm depressed, remember you can reach out to us at our email at eastcoasthg, the HG stands for horror group, at gmail.com. And I believe, Mike, you check that almost every other month. So, real quick way to get a hold of us. Or you can hit us up out on the Facebook. And I still say the Facebook. I don't appreciate this new name it came up with. So, until... Oh, God. Yeah, it was. I really am sad that I did that. Okay, so... Until next time, Lizzie, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. We really appreciate it. It was great to have you on the show, and we wish you all the luck and success with your new movies. And please let us know when those come so that we can tell folks about it out on East Coast Horror Group. Thanks, everybody, and remember to tune in again this coming Thursday at the time this show really is on, which is the 8 Central, 9 Eastern. That's the new time for From Dust Till Dawn Radio. And that takes us to the end. Thanks, everybody. And until next time, the East Coast Horror Group suggests sleeping with the lights on. If the monster under your bed is going to get you, you should at least see him coming. Good night, everybody.
East Coast Horror Group.
Thank you guys. Thanks for listening to my pee talk.
You were in the whole thing. Get it? You're in? You're in? See? That was a joke, everybody. Yes, you can laugh. It's okay.